It's always an exciting thing when die-hard Marvel fans get to see their favorite Marvel characters come to life on the big screen. But it doesn't always live up to fans' expectations. So in today's List Bomb, we go over the top 8 worst Marvel comic movie adaptations. Number 8. Spider-Man 3. Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker has already become a laughing sensation due to his epic crying faces. We're not even going to delve into the fact that he cried 3 times in this movie. However, we are going to mention the key things that made this one of the more laughable movies to watch. First of all, Peter's transformation into a darker rendition of himself seemed to have more of a comedic feel. Secondly, the movie seemed a bit rushed. It lacked the smooth and effortless pace of its predecessor, Spider-Man 2, which was said to be one of the best of the 3. Thirdly, the character development was a bit lackluster, as Venom was introduced way too quickly, and there seemed to have been no time spent on his character at all. There are a slew of other issues with the movie when it comes down to it, but the main one is it seems the creators tried too hard to squeeze too much into one movie. Number 7. Captain America, the 1990s version. The 1990s Captain America adaptation was a Marvel movie that left comic fans a bit dry due to the characters being too stiff. Also, Captain America's superpowers seemed to be limited to chucking his shield and faking car sickness. It didn't help that his origin story was not interesting, resulting in a dull character that seemed to have no development. The story overall had way too many holes, and it left fans feeling cheated instead of thrilled. Number 6. Elektra. As a follow-up movie to the 2003 Daredevil film, this film attempted to be a spin-off to feature the female assassin, Elektra. The problem with this film is that it lacked spark. The movie started off pretty slow, the fights lacked tension, and they were said to be more acrobatic than powerful. Elektra, played by Jennifer Garner, came off as unlikable and distant. Garner had actually gone on record saying she didn't enjoy making the film, and apparently it showed through her performance. All in all, it was deemed a movie you'd only watch if you were really bored, or if you just wanted to say that you did. Number 5. Daredevil. Now here is one of the most scorned Marvel movie adaptations of all time. With its cheesy lines in almost every dialogue and constant unnecessary blind jests, it was painful to sit and watch. The other issues many had was that Daredevil, although human with no genetic mutations, behaved as though he was in fact superhuman. Though he did have acute senses as a result of being blind, that does not render him the equivalent of Spider-Man. Daredevil being given unrealistic advantages made watchers feel as though he had no weakness. The amount of inconsistencies and preposterousness in this film renders it one of those hit and misses in the collection of Marvel movies. Number 4. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. In this 2007 sequel to Fantastic Four, the Surfer's job was to go to Earth in order to prepare it to meet its demise by Galactus, the world-consuming monster villain. Though there was decent action and considerably better entertainment than the previous installment, the movie gave fans a bit of a letdown for several reasons. Number 1 being that Galactus, who is supposed to be a badass in the comics, turns out to be nothing other than just a cloud. The other reasons include the characters being a bit too exacerbating, namely, the engaged couple who seemed more like they were forced into an arranged marriage. And lastly, fans were highly disappointed with the Surfer, simply because his powers were changed for the movie. It was such a disappointment that many voiced their concerns as to whether or not the creators did research on the characters at all. If they did, they would know that the Surfer's powers did not come from his board. In addition, they would also know that he can't resurrect people from the dead. Number 3. Generation X. Generation X falls on this list because it is simply inconsistent. The backgrounds written for the characters came off as a fail, and the villain of the movie was said to be a sad attempt at trying too hard to be Jim Carrey. Though the settings take place at Xavier's Academy, Xavier himself as well as other X-Men are nowhere to be found, nor are they even mentioned. The one nuisance that seemed to really get under the skin of many is that the creators simply failed to follow the comics. Being basically a pilot movie, the one thing fans were pleased about is that they didn't try to make more. Number 2. Man-Thing. 2005's Man-Thing is next on our list as a letdown because it comes off as a low-budget horror B-movie. Though it's decent for its genre, many viewers walked away with a bad taste in their mouth. The other disappointment is that the original comic story upon which the film was supposed to be based on was completely replaced with a monster that is totally evil and showed no mercy. Honestly, there would be nothing wrong with the movie if it was just dubbed as a horror movie. However, the fact that it's a Marvel adaptation is where the ball was completely dropped. Number 1. Howard the Duck. Based on the savvy, hot-tempered bachelor hero of the late 70s Marvel Comics comes the 1986 movie adaptation of Howard the Duck, which is said to be one of the most notorious box office flops in history. In the movie, he saved a punk rock lead singer by the name of Beverly, who, in return, tried to help him figure out how he got to Earth, and then, for some odd reason as time progressed, became his girlfriend. The dialogue and jokes in this movie were just awful and absurdly cheesy. The movie was so bad, it almost felt intentional. The executive producer George Lucas had removed almost everything that Howard was supposed to be based on his comic. The common consensus is that he made his version of Howard much cuter to appeal to the mass market, which in turn caused fans of the series to feel disenfranchised by one of their favorite comic characters. There seems to be speculation that this film was a product of George Lucas's ego at the time, and because it was such an embarrassment, his name didn't appear on any on-screen credits. It's one of those Marvel films that should have just been taken out to the shed and been shot, and then never been spoken of again. But anyway, guys, in your opinion, which one of these Marvel movies do you think was the worst? Are there any that you can think of that deserve to be on this list? Or off it? Let us know in the comments below.